My name is Olufemi Sheyi. I'm a real estate salesman. I buy, build, and sell real estate. And welcome to Fireside Conversation. Today, we're going to be talking about a very controversial topic. Your salary can make you rich. Why is it very controversial? Because I'm sure that everybody listening to me today, you've heard one motivational speaker, one person who's a financial expert saying your salary cannot make you rich, or your salary is what they give you to keep you enslaved, or whatever it is that people actually throw out there. While I understand that salary could be small, it could put a cap on what you can earn, but it is not, in most times, how much you earn, but how much of what you earn that you keep and reinvest in instruments that can actually build your net worth. Most people actually always miss that point, which is why you find out that somebody who's working with highly paid. I've seen people who are earning millions on a monthly basis who are very, very poor. And I've seen people who earn well less than that who are quite comfortable with what they do. So today we're going to be having that conversation. Can your salary actually make you rich? But before we get to the concept of how your salary can make you rich, let's have a conversation about what salary is. You know, if you were to go to classical definition of salary, it says that is a fixed amount of money that is paid particularly on a monthly basis by an employer to the employee for work done. But this is the way to look at salary. It's actually the exchange of value in your direction, meaning you give value and in exchange for that value, you actually receive something of value to you. The problem with most salary earner is a lot of time they look at salary and whatever thing they are generating from the viewpoint of exchanging my time for money. And those are two separate things. The time you need to start, if you're listening to me today, you need to start asking, what am I exactly exchanging for money? And that would determine how far you can go. We're going to do a bit of calculation today, maybe use some graphs just to have an explanation. Let's take a look at this. It's out here, the graph here. This is your time. This is money. Now, for the average employee, what they look at most times is say, look, I come in from maybe 8 p.m. or 8:30 to 5 or 5:30. I've spent about 8 hours and then I should be paid. Now, that is okay because that's actually what the majority of people, but this is the problem with that. There's so much you have in a day. You have maximum of 24 hours. You really can't stretch it more than that. So what it means is at some point when you get here, this is already 24 hours. Assuming you can use your 24 hours, you have limited how much you can earn because you are calculating just primarily on the basis of the time I can give for the money. There's always a cap on that. And this is it. If you're working today and your consideration is, I just want to come in, mark the time and get out, you will have that cap. And, without sounding so motivational, because life in itself has a way of paying for value that we offer. You cannot, you see, there's the law of giving and receiving is actually very apt. Give and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed and shaken together. That is what it is. And it applies even in the workplace. So if you go to work and you only want to mark time, you are not just, cheating that guy that is paying. You are actually capping what value you would actually receive on the long term. The second thing I would say is this. If you learn to actually begin to change and say, instead of looking at my time, I want to just put on this particular axis, I want to put value. And then every time that you want to earn money, you ask yourself, what value can I just add? What additional value can I bring to the table? What happens? The chart changes significantly. This is what it's going to look like. In fact, let's just do an overlay. This is what it's going to look like. And this is, you can continue to extend this as long as you can. As long as you continue to offer value, then the money you receive on the long term continue to actually increase. And this is what a lot of people miss. But let's even move away from that. Now that you're offering value, now that you know exactly what you need to actually increase the income that you get, how do you move from just earning that to translating it into higher network? I said something at the beginning. I said, it is not how much you earn a lot of time. It is how much of that money that you keep. A lot of people listening to me today would actually, I'm sure I'll be expecting this in the comment section, but they will put it like, what if my salary, my take home cannot take me home? Or what if, there are quite a number of slangs that people use these days. And then this is the answer I'm going to put. there's no way, no matter how much you earn, if you don't understand the principle of setting aside even before you spend, it will never be enough. So let's take a look at it. So let's say that you earn your salary, you've decided that this is what I want to do. How do I build wealth? There are basic principles you need to. Number one, I already mentioned that, is what you keep. What portion of your salary do you want to keep? Where do you want to keep it? How much is it going to return to you? And then how would you compound that return? And then how long do you want to keep it? Most people never actually break down those 5. And those are the 5 that we're going to be talking about today. No, I'm going to just use practical. Let's be very practical here. I'm going to go to a compound interest calculator and see that if you're earning today, if you're earning 150, 200, 300K, you can actually build multi-millionaire portfolio without having to do anything risky. When I say risky, I'm saying without having to try on at Forex, MMM, crypto. I'm not saying crypto or Forex and co as any issue. I'm just saying that without having to do anything. Now, there's a point you can get to that you could actually put your hand in all those things, but we'll get to that point. So let's quickly take a look at it. I'm going to try to bring up a mortgage calculator, a compound interest calculator at this point. Let me see if I can bring that up quickly. Now, what I'm going to do is very simple. I'm going to pick a random figure. Now, before you go to compound interest calculator, I wanted to bring that up so we can use it. Now, your first step, if you want to build wealth from your salary, is to determine how much exactly do I want to have in 5 years or in 10 years. That is the first step. Most people never get to that point. You want to say, okay, I started working, I'm 21, I'm 19, I'm 20. I want to make sure that if I work over the next like 10 years, I want to have a portfolio of about, say, 10 million. Let's just use that for example. Now, when you get that, that is the first thing. Most people never have that. If I ask around, I have my colleagues in this room and I say, okay, how much have you decided you want to be worth in 5 years? How much have you decided you want to be worth in 10 years? Very few people can give an accurate figure, but most people just call a figure because I'm asking, right? But most people never really have that fixed figure to say, this is exactly how much I need, this is exactly how much I want to. And this is what I say. Even if you want to take your entrepreneurial journey and you're working at this moment, you want to say, okay, you know what, over the next 5 to 10 years, I'm 20. By the time I'm 30, I want to step out to start my business. But between now and that time, I want to have 11, 15, 20 million, whatever it is that you want. And then, you set that goal. That is the first thing. So let's quickly look at it. Once you have an idea of the figure, then you can now walk back from that figure to say, how much do I need to put aside every month and at what interest rate so that I can achieve my target? That is one thing you need to do. So let's look at, this is how you walk it back. This is a compound interest calculator now. So let's say that you're earning 150 or you're earning 100 here, you are doing locum here, you're earning additional 50. So that is for 150,000. Now, you want to say, okay, so how much do I need to keep aside? Please keep your eyes on this particular figure, your future investment value. This is what I want you to keep your eyes on. So you walk back and say, okay, what if I keep 30% of my salary? That's 45,000 on a monthly basis. So let's type it out. You want to keep 45,000. And then what is a safe interest that I can get? You can get between 12 to 15. We're going to use 15. We can still come back to 12 when we're doing our calculation. So I want to be earning 15% interest rate. I'm going to be compounding every 6 months. We can put half yearly every 6 months. And then I want to keep it for 10 years here. And then every month, I started with 45,000 additional contribution. I'm going to make additional contribution of 45,000. We agreed that the guy was earning 45,000. 150,000. He's going to be keeping 30% of his income on a monthly basis and then reinvesting that. Now, let me quickly digress here. Now, what I see that a lot of people do is they pretend that they are saving. So they start saving in January against December when they're going to now go out and ball from 25th to 30th, they are balling on the street. So all the savings for that 1 year is consumed. What it means is if you save 30% of your salary for 1 year and then you consume it in December, essentially what you have done is you've taken about roughly 4 months of your life and spent it in 5 days from 25th or 24th to 31st. So, that's just a bit of that. So let's go back to here. You take 45,000 naira, which is 30%. You keep it every month. You put it in instruments that can yield 15%. A lot of finance houses would offer 15% thereabout if you can negotiate with them. And even now, we have treasury bills or some of those other safe instruments that are given as high as 15%. So it's not like it's too much. We're still going to try the 12. you're not increasing anything. I assume that you earn 150 from beginning of that 10 years to there. But I know that most people, by reason of experience, by reason of more value that they can have, they can actually begin to increase a certain percentage. They can even do, okay, every month, every year, I'm going to increase by 10%. That means I do 45 now, I do 55, I do 60, whatever it is. But let's just look at a flat rate. Let's click on calculate. Now, if you were to do this and you were putting it aside and you are consistent and you are not lured by the flashy thing, in 10 years, by the time you start at 19 and you want to work for 10 years, by the time you're 29, you would have a portfolio that is worth about 12.2 million. That is if you do not increase it at all. But let's experiment for that. Let's say because you're hardworking, you are focused, you know what you're doing. And then you decide every year, I want to increase my deposit by 10%, right? So let's calculate it again. What does it translate to in terms of your portfolio? It means that you can actually, by the time you're 29, you can say you have a cash or a cash portfolio that is actually 17.3 million. You can now imagine if you decide, I want to do more than 30%, I want to do 40%. What it means is this guy goes to, and this is what I usually encourage people to do, you should do between 30 to 50% of your income. Now, a lot of people will laugh and say, do you want to kill them? Yes, I want to, as long as it's going to make you better on the long term. Where do I cancel this? So you do 60K, that is 40%. Every month, you increase by 10%. How much would you have in 10 years? So let's just quickly look at it. In 10 years, just hold on. In 10 years, you're going to have 23 million. There are a lot of people listening to me today who have not, who have earned more than 150, 200 over the last 10 years. And today, they cannot lay claim to have 1 million or 2 million cash. And they keep saying that, where exactly did my money go? So the first thing you said, I said the goal. Okay, I want to have 10 million. This would even give you a bit more than 10. You already set the goal. I want to have 23. I want to have 10. You can walk back from this figure and say, okay, if my target for 10 years is just 10 million, what would I need to? I need to put less of this one into I don't need to actually increase by 10% on a yearly basis. So that's one way you set the goal, and then you walk back to realize how much you need to put aside today. You can see how I walk back by just experimenting. If I want to reduce it because my target is 15 million, I can actually try to reduce how much I keep in, and I keep experimenting until you get that. So if you got to the final figure, you know how much you're going to put aside. Then the second thing is where to put the money. Please, 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 if you're building a portfolio, particularly if you're just starting out in life, and you don't have that much of liquidity, that money is very precious to you. You don't want to gamble with it. You don't want to do anything that is too high risk. So what you want to do is to look for, fixed deposits. You want to look at treasury bills. You want to look at the related instruments, and then quite a number of other instruments in the market that you can put those money. They are regulated, they are flat, they are not sexy, so it's not as exciting as getting 5% per month. It's not as exciting as doubling your money over the next one. So once you do that, put it in those instruments and keep putting it, keep compounding. You can imagine if you say, for those of us that would say that maybe 15% is a bit too high, you can, if you come, let's experiment with 10% and see what it comes to. And you can easily get instruments that will give you 10% in the market. There are quite a number. I won't be mentioning any one because they've not told me, or I've not been paid to advertise for them. But what I'm saying is this: there are quite a number of instruments that you can put your money in. You still have 18 million at 10%. And honestly, there are enough instruments in the market. Some commercial bank, depending on the kind of investment you have with them, some investment banking service will offer you this one. Even some insurance company actually would offer you this one, 10% compounded. You just need to insist that, every month I want to add to it, and then I want my interest to be paid on a monthly basis, which you can actually negotiate it for. So you walk back the goal, you've clarified what your input is. How much am I going to put in aside? 60K in the case of the guy who is targeting 18 to 23 million. If your target is a bit lower, you can actually put it. This is why you should do this. Particularly for some of us who want to have entrepreneur journey. When you want to step out, except you're from, what you say, trust fund background, you need to actually have something that you've kept aside that is going to tide you over when you're not going to be actively earning while you're trying to build your business. And that is why this should be if anyone listening to me here, if you have an investment portfolio that's what about 20 something million, I can guarantee that you're going to feel rich no matter how hard the economy is. And, for some of us who are worried about the impact of inflation, you could actually even invest in euro-related bond. Eurobond actually bonds that are issued by Nigerian government but are dollar denominated. And some of them in recent time have been as high as 10, 15, 20% or more. You can imagine if you had compounded your dollar today, you probably would be worth a lot more than that. So you've decided on the global figure, how much you're going to put inside, which instrument you're going to do. The other thing you now need to do, and this is where a lot of people fail, is to have what you call accountability structure. You want people that will hold you accountable to the commitments you've made. Most of us, when we start investing, you invest for 1 or 2 days, and then somebody says, oh, there's this Asoebi or there's this Bond Street that they're buying is color pink, and then because pink is the new thing, it's very close to Anne-Marie's color, whatever it is they tell you, and then you look at it, oh, I've been saving for the last 12 months. Let me take something. Consistency is the most important name of the game. And how do you set up a structure? If you're a salary earner, you could actually write to your employer to say, every month I need you to move this portion of my salary to this investment account that I do not have access to. Do not trust yourself. If you think, oh, I'm disciplined enough, you are not. Even the government does not trust you. That is why they remove your tax before they pay you. They calculate the tax and remove it. They know that once it gets to you, you are not likely to do that. So you want to actually set up an accountability structure that can help you, and then you want to work with, there's this saying that you are a sum total of about 2, 3, 4, 5 people that you are closest to. That is the average of who you will become. You can predict your future by looking at the people around you. That is most likely where you're going to end up. And so you want to build a community of like-minded people that you can work with. You can share your victories, you can share your pains, you can understand which instruments they invest in. There are quite a number of groups that are available that you could you can actually join. So now that you've done that, you know exactly where you're headed. You know that in 10 years, you probably would have, I would prefer you do 12. You can do 12 here. You probably are going to have, said 112. Somebody's going to, 112. You have an idea that, oh, okay, I'm going to be worth about 20 something million in 10 years. You already know that is clear. That is, you can see the path to it. Then you can now start asking yourself, how can I now accelerate my journey and make it faster? And then that's when you can start having investments like, oh, now I want to invest in a land that they're doing in Muwe. I want to invest in a land they're doing in Ibafo, so that I'm going to save additional money from the extra income I make here and there, put it in a land, buy it at 2.5 million, wait for the next 2-3 years, and then it goes to 5 million or 6 million or 7 million, whatever it is that the appreciation will take you. And then you can now put those cash there. They're a bit more risky. You can say, oh, I have enough cash. Now that I'm putting aside 60K, I have additional 10K from this particular gig I'm doing. I want to learn how to trade Forex, knowing that worst case scenario, even if you lose those ones, you still have your cachet of cash that you can fall back. That is a mistake a lot of people make. People who are starting out, the first thing they want to put their money is on Forex, is on whatever it is. Don't do that first. Why don't you discipline with this one? Success, particularly when you're building investment portfolio, is in the boring things, the things that are not as sexy, not as glittering, as you put it. If you can follow this strategy, you would realize that, can you imagine if everybody listening to me today decide to do it? Maybe you don't want to do 60, maybe you want to do 30. You know that in 10 years, you are a multi-millionaire. That means everybody can become a multi-millionaire. So for those who have always thought that your salary cannot make you rich, the reason why your salary is not going to make you rich is not because it can't. It's because you have chosen to actually, confine your mind to the realm of, I must go out and kill myself to actually make that money. So I want you to make sure you avoid those you kill that mindset. Avoid the glittering stuff first of all. Do the boring thing every month. You want to keep it aside. And then once you are consistent in that, you have something that is working, that you can now go and do the crazy things that you think can make you money. I hope this video has been of value to you. If it's been of value to you, I need you to do me a favor. I have a team behind the camera, and the only way I can pay them back is by asking you to please subscribe to our channel. And that's what they've mandated me to do. If I don't do that, they won't support this video that you've heard. So please click on the subscribe button below. You can see at Casafina Development on Facebook and at Casafina Development, right? on Instagram, and then Kasafina TV on YouTube. I would appreciate if you do that. It will help me to continue to do this, and then it will make my team